To fall, continued King Louis, who at the first glance had sounded the abyss on which the monarchy hung suspended. To fall, and learn of that fall by telegraph! Oh, I would rather mount the scaffold of my brother Louis XVIII than thus descend the staircase at the Tuileries, driven away by ridicule. Ridicule, sir! Why, you know not its power in France, and yet you ought to know it. Sire, sire, murmured the minister, for pity's sake. Approach, Monsieur de Villefort, resumed the king, addressing the young man, who, motionless and breathless, was listening to a conversation on which depended the destiny of a kingdom. Approach and tell Monsieur that it is possible to know beforehand all that he has not known. Sire, it was really impossible to learn secrets which that man concealed from all the world. Really impossible! Yes, that is a great word, sir. Unfortunately, there are great words as there are great men. I have measured them. Really impossible for a minister who has office, agents, spies, and 1,500,000 francs for secret service money to know what is going on at 60 leagues from the coast of France. Well, then, see, here is a gentleman who had none of these resources at his disposal. A gentleman, only a simple magistrate, who learned more than you with all of your police, and who would have saved my crown if, like you, he had the power of directing a telegraph. The look of the minister of the police was turned with concentrated spite on Villefort, who bent his head in modest triumph. I do not mean that for you, Blacas, continued Louis XVIII, for if you have discovered nothing, at least you have discovered the good sense to preserve in your suspicions. Any other than yourself would have considered the disclosure of Monsieur de Villefort insignificant, or else dictated by venal ambition. These words were an allusion to the sentiments which the Minister of Police had uttered with so much confidence an hour before. All right, the spittle and venom and brimstone just continuing from the king here. And kind of focusing it toward the end there. He's saying it's not at Blacas. Blacas has recognized the importance of Villefort as not insignificant and brought him to the king, and he's given him credit for that. I guess this is all just looking like shit for Dandre, whose intelligence service is not exactly pleasing the king with all of those resources he listed. And Villefort here, too, like... Okay, we're just continuing to talk about the inner life of Villefort here and the type of man that he is. Have you been in a situation at work, personal life, otherwise, where there's an argument going on and you know that you're not really involved in the argument, but you are like on the outskirts of it, and you know that the information you brought to light kind of caused it, but that you're on the right side of things, or the more I'm talking about that, the less relatable the situation is. I feel like I've been in a similar situation where I've seen people arguing, and I know that like I'm not the one in trouble. I'm not explaining this very well. What I'm trying to get to is like to be Villefort in this position, to see the king of France completely chastise, break down, and blow his top at this duke and baron who work for him, knowing that Villefort isn't the one getting yelled at. In fact, that this whole situation is making him look good, says a lot about him, because is it a lack of empathy? Is it a narcissism that he feels zero effect of these two people getting chastised, knowing that it's going to benefit him in the long run? I think Villefort might be a monster. Oh, okay. Sorry, this took me a long way. I had to get to this place. I had to talk that through to really get to where where I meant to go earlier. So, like, I'm an only child, but I've known people with big families, middle families, small families, you know, in terms of siblings. And I've been like two pieces removed from the situation where I have seen a parent yell at a pair of kids, and I felt uncomfortable because, you know, I'm human and don't like to watch people argue. But watching a second or third child in that argument kind of sit on the sidelines, realizing that he's taking some sort of sick pleasure in watching his siblings getting yelled at. I guess that's kind of what it feels like to a degree. Like, it makes me uncomfortable, but watching that sibling take pleasure in the other siblings getting yelled at is something I can't connect to, but it feels a little bit like what Villefort is doing here. Oh my God, this is a messy episode. I am so sorry, folks. Let's continue with more of Chapter 11 as we see more of the king's reaction tomorrow. I will see you all then. Until tomorrow, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.